Go for it.
Friggin' what up, dude? Strider Wilson, and I'm the host of this podcast that's mine, going to be called History is Dank. History is Dank with Strider Wilson. Dankness from the heart.
Frickin' what up, dank-ass legends. If you're listening to this you're a dank-ass legend, Danktorian. And speaking of dank-ass legends, we got Aaron beasting it on the sticks as per usual. What up, Aaron, dude?
What up?
Dude, I'm just posted up right now, dude. Enjoying this chilly weather we have in SoCal right now, dude. Good indoor weather, dude. In fact, I had plans to go out the other day. Plans to go out, dude. Plans to go out to get my physical done, my physical. Hey, for your listeners out there, you know, it's good to get a yearly physical. You know, you never know what's going to pop up. Just keep your health in check. You know what I'm saying, dude? It's a good-ass call to do that, dude. Good-ass call to take care of your rig, dude. You know, sometimes get the doctor's eyes on your rig, dude. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to spread your butt in front of a professional, dude. It's just what you got to do sometimes. You got to spread your butt and get your dong felt up, dude. Well, not really your dong, but your sack. You got to cough. So you got to do that sometimes. So I had that appointment scheduled, dude. Aaron, I had that scheduled. I was ready to go, mentally prepped, you know, and to cough and do all that, you know, and to lie about, you know, whether if I drink, absolutely not, don't. I always tell the doctor, nope, perfect, never had a sip. Really interesting. And I'm ready to go, and I'm just watching a little TV, and a movie comes on, Aaron. A movie comes on, Aaron. And that movie is Glory. And I pick it up midstream. I pick it past midstream, to be honest. I pick it up in the scene where, and if you're listening, you've never seen this movie, we're going to go over it today, and you got to watch. And so, spoiler alert, heads up. But also, this is fucking history, so, you know, the story's been told. But anyway, you should, spoilers intact, you will still enjoy this movie, even if you know how it ends. But I pick it up at the scene where Matthew Broderick, who plays Colonel Shaw, who's a real person, Colonel Shaw. Matthew Broderick, also a real person, he exists. And he is yelling at Cary, how do you say his name? Elwes, yeah. Cary Elwes, who's a beast, great actor. He plays, you know, Robin Hood, Men and Thieves. He's the Dread Pirate Scott in one of my favorite movies of all time.
Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm blanking on the movie title. Princess Bride.
He's Robin Hood, Men in Tights, not Prince of Thieves.
Aaron, I mean, here's the thing. I'm just absolutely beasting it right now. Prince of Thieves is the one with Costner.
Yeah. And
also Morgan Freeman, who's also in Glory.
Solid movie.
It's a good movie. Very good movie. But Men in Tights is just a gem.
Oh, yeah.
A real gem. Anyway.
Double feature it.
Yeah, you should double feature
Prince of Thieves, Men in Tights. Men in Tights is directly a parody of Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, you would have to watch Prince of Thieves first, so then you can get the jokes better for when you watch Men in Tights. And I'm watching this movie, Aaron, with commercials. I mean, runtime maybe 27 hours. With commercials. It's already a long-ass movie, maybe 3 hours. You add commercials to that, This is 7 days to watch this movie. And I'm watching the clock go by, and I look, and I've already missed my appointment. I was sucked in, bro. I was engaged. Let me tell you what, I still got a lump on my midsection that the doctor needs to look at, but it wasn't as big as the fucking lump in my throat when I was watching the character development and guys come around, dude, over, you know, I mean, just a lot of beautiful scenes in there. When Denzel, in the scene when he opens up and says the 54th is the only family he's ever had. What a scene.
Won him an Oscar.
Deservedly so. Was that his breakout role? What was Denzel's breakout role?
Well, he was on St. Elsewhere before that, but yeah, this was his breakout film role for sure.
Yeah. I mean, so good. So amazing. So we're going to get into the history of the 54th. That's what the movie's about. The movie Glory is about the Massachusetts 54th Regiment. And we're going to also talk about a little bit of the making of the movie. Read a fun little article about the writer was interviewed, Kevin Jarre, Jarre. I'm probably saying that wrong. Kevin Jarre, maybe. Jarre, could be that. Anyway, we're going to be talking about that today. But before we get into that, I got to say thank you to our sponsor, Babbel, the language learning app that sold more than 10 million subscriptions. There's an addictively fun and easy way to learn a new language, Babbel. And I got to agree, I'm doing it. I'm taking Polish. I'm fired up on it, dude. I took like 10 years of Spanish in high school, and it was a bust, dude. I had no fun doing it. All I would do is prank my bros and throw their pencils during quizzes out the window. But Babbel, fun, digestible, quick lessons, dude. I'm doing the 15. I've set my own plan on their website, 15 minutes a day. Super easy, super chill. I'm fired up on it. I wanted to learn how to say stoked in Polish. That's my goal, dude. But right now, get up to 55% off your subscription when you go to babbel.com/dank. That's babbel.com/dank for up to 55% off your subscription. Babbel, language for life. All right, dude.
Does Polish use English letters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do have like a weird little, at least that I've seen the spelling in there, like a weird O with like it almost looks like a no smoking sign.
Right? Yeah.
They have that.
Yeah.
Which is like a weird, like that's when you say please, but it's also a way you can say thank you. Proszę. That word it's like a weird little pronunciation.
Uh-huh.
I'm still on my Witamy segment, which is the welcoming segment. So, bro, Aaron, I'm gonna be chock full of answers for you soon enough, dude.
Cool.
Gonna do my first step in Polish at one point, dude. So, for those of you that live under a rock, or for our foreign listeners, maybe if you're posted up on the aisle across the pond, and maybe you don't know the American Civil War facts, just to set the table here, we're talking 1861 to 1865. To give you some dates, pivotal moment in American history. I mean, absolutely pivotal. It was a conflict between northern states, which were known as the Union, and the southern states, which were known as the Confederacy. And there was a few issues, but the key issue here that led to the Civil War was the question of slavery. You had these appeasement things. You had like the Missouri Compromise, the Kansas-Nebraska Act. Like basically every time a new state was added to the Union, based on voting and stuff, they needed to be like, well, is this a free state or is this a slaveholding state? Because it would swing who had power, and and back in D.C., and it became such an issue. And then there was abolitionists in the North wanting to abolish slavery this whole time. And finally it became a fight, because the slaveholding states in the South relied heavily on free labor for their plantations, and it was the center of their economy. And in the North, it was more shipping. And of course, you could say hypocritically, like they would ship the cotton and other products, tobacco, whatever was being grown in the South on their ships. But also they had other industry and steel and all those type of things that made them less reliant upon slave labor. So that sort of sets the table. Also, morally wrong. Do we even need to say that? We do. Probably people need to hear that. We're still fighting the Civil War in many ways today. But we're talking right now, 1861 to 1865, mainly fought on the East Coast, although there was like, California didn't become a state till like 49 or during the gold rush, but there was actually in San Diego like Civil War outposts over there. Kind of crazy. But anyway, we're in Massachusetts, and we're talking the 54th Infantry Regiment. And this is, in the movie, and we'll get into this historical accuracy sort of section, it kind of makes you think that this is the first ever all-black regiment. That's not true. There were other ones, and in fact, up to 180,000 black soldiers served in the Union Army during the Civil War. Many African Americans offered to fight for the Union cause at the outbreak of the Civil War in April of 1861, but it was not until President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st of 1863 that blacks were illegally allowed to enlist. So immediately thereafter, as soon as this Emancipation Proclamation is signed, the governor, John A. Andrew of Massachusetts, he started to form the first ever African-American regiment in the North. So that's There's maybe some of the more southern states, the 54th, and we'll get into this in a little bit, but the 54th Massachusetts, he appointed Robert Gould Shaw as its colonel. That's Matthew Broderick, Ferris Bueller. And if you've seen the movie, his acting's a little stilted. His acting, although he looks, and we're going to get into the of why he was cast, like there's statues of Colonel Shaw, and Matthew Broderick, and like there's also portraits and paintings of him, and actually photographs. Photographs were being taken at this time. He looks like he's like spitting image of the guy. Really looks like, put a little facial hair on him, he's good to go. A little goatee, a little flavor saver, dude. My fiance doesn't like the term flavor saver, dude. It's a disgusting term, dude, but I like that term, dude. My brother-in-law has a flavor saver. Think about that. Think about that, dude. We're getting into it today, dude. Anyway, with abolitionist George Luther Stearns, the governor, Andrew, formed the, quote, Black Committee of prominent citizens, both black and white, including Frederick Douglass. Maybe you heard of him. He's an absolute legend. Ran away, escaped slavery, got to the North, and huge abolitionist and major figure in the, freeing the black slaves. So he was huge, dude. Frederick Douglass, he's got to do a whole ep on him. The dude's an absolute beast. William Lloyd Garrison, Amos A. Lawrence, and Wendell Phillips. So they garnered support for the regiment, along with other leaders, and they canvassed the country seeking soldiers for the 54th, and they urged men to recognize, as Douglas persuasively argued, that those who would be free themselves must strike the first blow. So, like I mentioned a second ago, like as soon as the outbreak of the Civil War, like, yeah, if you're a slave, you're like, yeah, I'm going to go fight for my freedom. Absolutely. Let's do this. But guess what? People were still racist. People still had this idea that, only, white men can fight. They had racist ideologies. Black soldiers couldn't follow orders. Like, they just can't do it. Like, just this, like, backwards, total, non-logical thinking. And so it was very important. That's one of the main, not one of the main, but one of the many important messages of the 54th is that there was a regiment that, like, obviously, like, in this fight for equality and freedom of, like, yeah, the black soldiers can be trained just as well as the white counterpart, and maybe if not, better. They're just as brave and can do it all. So it's very important, and also it was important to be like free men. And there was a mixture of, and we'll get into the soldiers that comprised the regiment in a little bit, but so many of the new enlistees were proud of their professions and uniforms, and they had photographs taken of themselves. Frederick Douglass, in an 1863 speech before an audience of potential recruits, he says, once, and this is quoting Douglass, once let the black man get upon his person the brass letters of the U.S. Let him get an eagle on his button and a musket on his shoulder and bullets in his pocket, and there is no power on earth or under the earth which can deny that he has earned the right of citizenship in the United States. So it's like saying, hey, you're going to go there and fight. And dude, you're going to go fight Civil War style, bro. Yeah, I still can't believe that was the tactic. I mean, I think it was just the technology at that era. You were still using musket balls, so they weren't quite as accurate. That's why you would line up. And it was all about discipline, dude. So it was like literally, that's why like the British redcoats in the Revolution were so good. They followed orders to the best and they would have accurate volleys. Like, in the Civil War, you had better. You were using shells and cannon. That's why these casualties were so high. It was sort of like a dress rehearsal, especially that battle of siege of like Fredericksburg was sort of a dress rehearsal for World War I with like some trench warfare and stuff, because technology was catching up. You have the Gatling gun introduced towards the end of the Civil War, which was an automatic weapon, which is a total game changer. But just the fact that you would fucking line up, dude, and just sit there and be like, I just have to take it, dude. Hopefully I don't get shot in my dick, and hopefully the dude next to me, everyone's thinking it's not going to be me, or just praying it's not going to be me, it's going to be the dude next to me, and then we're going to return a volley and then fix bayonets and then get after it. Oh, what a nightmare, dude. I mean, it's just so gnarly, dude. Such a gnarly style of battle, dude. I mean, could only imagine. And in the movie, dude, Glory, they do a great job. Like the battle sequences and everything, that's really shot well. Also, you got to give a shout out. Like the fun fact, a lot of the Civil War reenactors, the movie was from 1989 is when the movie was made, weren't paid. They just volunteered to do it, which is like kind of nice. But it's also nice that, dudes who typically I would call, like if you reenact, if you're involved in reenactments, dude, I want to call you a virgin, dude. You know what I mean? But it's a fun hobby, dude. It's like, can you be a Civil War reenactor and not have a Gothic daughter who's forced to be there and watch that afternoon? I don't know. I think you might have to have, it's like one of the requirements to join. Like, all right, are you a history enthusiast? Cool. Or are you going to buy your own kit? Also, dude, like I looked into it one time because I wanted to do a bit where did a World War II reenactment, guys. It was like the Screaming Eagles, the US 101 out here in California. And like, if you join, you have to be like a private. Like you can't get like a sick ass Thompson gun. You have to like join and like have like the M1 Garand, like lame ass rifle that you can like buy from a dude that's been in it a while. So it's kind of funny that you kind of have to move up your ranks in that way. And dude, they're very historically accurate. They're like, no cell phones. They take it serious, dude, and they're role playing, and I respect that. But also it's like, dude, if you can fix up a tank, I'm pretty sure it's like, look, dude, I brought a tank to this. How stoked are we on this? I'm immediately a captain. I'm not gonna be a private bitch. I have a fucking tank, dude. And everyone's stoked on it, dude. Let's go sip coffees and look at my tank.
Yeah,
and just
what if you have a flamethrower?
Yeah, exactly. I've got a flamethrower, dude. I'm not a private. I fucking brought my own flamethrower. It's tight. And your Gothic daughter's into it. It's the only way you can relate to your Gothic daughter is by looking at fire, dude. She likes fire, sort of the metaphor from hell. You like fire because it's sick. So.
What if I show up dressed as the Rocketeer?
Yeah, I'm in on that.
That'd be great.
That's tight. And they could do that at Griffith Park where they filmed that up there.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. It's a good call. Civil War, like, yeah, if you're a Civil War reenactor and you own a horse, it's like, yeah, no, dude, I'm immediately cooler than you, dude. I have a horse, bitch. So, just kind of nice that some virgins, these guys aren't virgins, these are fathers. They have Gothic daughters. And it's nice that they, were out there doing this. And it looks sick, dude. I always think about the casting in that, dude. It's like, you kind of need guys who are into it, who really want to do it historically right, Dudes looking at the buttons on there and be like, no, actually, you wouldn't have buttons like this. You'd have buttons like that. It's good. You pay attention to the detail. So let's see here. Let's get into, I've talked about that a little bit. Oh, there's the film accurately portrays the racism and discrimination faced by the 54th. So it's amazing and great that this regiment is formed, but within the military and society at large, even though the northern states were fighting for freedom, like you watch the movie Lincoln, like it was still a fight to even pass the Emancipation Proclamation and do all of that. The unit was given inferior equipment and pay compared to the white units. They were often subjected to insults and, of course, abuse from their white counterparts. There's that scene in the movie where they can't get boots, like Denzel's character. Like, if you were caught deserting, you could be killed or hung. They think Denzel's character is caught deserting, so he gets punished. It's a brutal scene. And then Broderick talks to Morgan Freeman's character, and he's like, what's going on? Like, what's the, I need to know the hearts of the men if we're going to be a, proper fighting unit. And he's like, Denzel was just trying to get boots, dude. We don't have boots. And there was a scene before that where like this guy, he's a noticeable, Richard Ryle. He's kind of a good like comedic actor, but he plays a racist, what's it called? Like quartermaster. He's like the guy who distributes all of the supplies, and he like won't give the guys boots. He's like, nah, they don't need boots. And then Broderick goes in there and he's like, I'm a fucking colonel, bitch. Starts breaking his off, and he's like, get my soldiers boots. And he finally does. Let's see. The cast is amazing. Maybe we should just quickly talk about that. Broderick plays Robert Gould Shaw. Denzel plays Private Tripp. Sergeant Major John Rollins is played by Morgan Freeman. Andre Braugher plays Corporal Thomas Searles. Carrie Ellis plays Major Cabot Forbes. So it's pretty amazing. And Morgan Freeman, and they say Denzel, like, because, Frederick Douglass said, like, the first blow must be struck by men who would be freed themselves. and Denzel plays his character ran away, escaped slavery, and then joined. And, you know, who can prove through history, like, that didn't happen, but they wanted this, you know, Frederick Douglass and Governor Andrew wanted this to be comprised of already free men on their own volition going to fight. So people who are really sticklers are like, that character wouldn't have existed. But it's also like, you know what, dude? The movie's sick in this character, and you need strong characters, dude,
Yeah.
and it makes you care.
It's drama.
Exactly. Like there's going to be a little bit of bending here, dude. Like, if we're really being period accurate, like everyone's teeth would be horrendous. You want to watch that movie?
Yeah.
You want to watch a movie with a bunch of dudes who got no teeth, dude? Come on, bro.
Yeah.
So let's go. They do accurately portray the 54th's participation in the assault on Fort Wagner in South Carolina. So we'll get into that scene in a little bit. I want to talk about that scene a little bit. Some historical inaccuracies. The 54th is led by white officers only in the movie. They do promote Morgan Freeman. So I think that this, you know, bit of information that I got is somewhat inaccurate because, but from the get-go, there was a mix of white and black officers, including Major William Carney, who later became the first African-American to receive the Medal of Honor. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Badass. So, that was a little bit inaccurate. There was a mixture of white and black officers. But there's that famous scene where Morgan Freeman, he becomes promoted to like a non-commissioned sergeant. And then there's like the racist guy in the Union telling him like, oh, there's stripes. I can't believe he has like the stripes. And fun fact, that is the writer of the movie. That's Kevin Jarre, who also later gives himself the best line in the whole movie. Very, very smart of him to do that. When he says, give him hell 54, that's the writer of the movie. Let's see. The film does portray the 54th as being the first unit to attack Fort Wagner. They actually weren't. They did lead a frontal assault. That is very true. They were the tip of the spear. That is true. Like they were going to take heavy casualties, and it's very, very, you know, brave to do that, and that's recognized. So, but in reality, there was other units participating in this attack from different areas, right? Which, I mean, also, again, I'm like, we see ships, Union ships firing cannon, so like that right there, like we know. So that's just being a little bit of nitpicky, but you know, we got to call it how we see it. At the time, you know, there's that in the movie, Matthew Broderick like knows the press. It's kind of crazy that the press like is always at these battles. I mean, like the first battle of the Civil War, like people were picnicking, watching, thinking it would be like over in a day, and guys were up there like painting, you know, as they go. And that actually happened quite a bit. You know, you could have a photograph that could capture it, but the guys would still be up there like painting the battle scenes. But there's the press there, and Matthew Broderick's like, make sure you tell this story. How should I fall? And like he gives him, you know, his letter for his wife and stuff, and he's like, and then the journalist is like, of course. So, you know, it's going to be known that this story will be told, but in reality, like this was largely ignored. And wasn't like celebrated by the media. It kind of just got maybe mentioned in passing and then like kept cruising. So, I mean, honestly, there was books and poems about it. You know, there's famously Lincoln Kirstein wrote a book called Lay This Laurel, which is based on like a Charlotte Bronte poem, or I forget that. Then Peter Bouchard wrote a book called One Gallant Rush. And those are sort of the source materials for this screenplay by Kevin Jarre. Hopefully I'm saying that name right. Anyway, dude, cruising back, dude. It's freaking badass. I want to talk about this final battle scene, dude, which is so freaking gnarly. It's, I mean, one of the best scenes ever, and I didn't know going in, so I'm sorry. So just heads up, this is where spoilers are going to come in this next little segment. If you're worried, you know, watch the movie, come back. But it's going to be so dank, dude. But before we get into that, real quick, once again, I got to thank our sponsor, Babbel, dude. Look, for most of us, learning a second language in high school or college wasn't exactly a high point in our academic career. I got a D+ in Spanish, dude. It almost kept me from playing volleyball. Yeah, humble brag, dude. Volleyball in college, dude. Almost did, dude. So, now your guys' athletic careers, you don't need to worry now, because thanks to Babbel, the language learning app that sold more than 10 million subscriptions, there's an addictively fun and easy way to learn a new language, dude. So it's convenient, bro. Whether you're traveling abroad, connecting in a deeper way with family, or you just have some free time, Babbel teaches bite-sized language lessons that you'll actually use in the real world. That's what I love, dude. I love these 15-minute lessons, dude. It's the perfect way to learn a new language on the go, bro. And look, dude, my boy freaking Tomek, dude, who just posted up over at the bagel truck right next to the coffee shop I cruise to, dude. I'm saying Dzień dobry to him, dude, and I want to be able to expand that conversation, dude, and find out more about my freaking bro Tomek. So I got to say dziękuję to Babbel for making these lessons very easy, these Polish lessons. But dude, they got 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, German. So it's cool. I was stoked that they had Polish on there, dude. So I'm fired up. Also, it's not AI, dude. These are language experts that create these lessons, dude. What do you want to learn to talk to a robot? No, you want to connect with people, dude. So these lessons are designed by smart people, dude. Language experts, freaking legit, dude. So start your new language learning journey today with Babbel, dude. I'm fired up on the skills I've been acquiring, dude. So right now, get up to 55% off your subscription when you go to babbel.com/dank. That's babbel.com/dank for up to 55% off your subscription. Babbel, language for life. All right, dude. The final battle charge, bro. As Colonel Shaw led the assault in Fort Wagner, 23-year-old sergeant from New Bedford, Massachusetts, William H. Carney was standing near him as his sergeant, saw the color bearer drop the national flag. He recalled years later, "As quick as I thought, I threw away my gun, seized the colors, and made my way to the head of the column. As Shaw and Carney reached the top of the parapet," whatever the hell that is, like a fucking, maybe like a little bit of a rampart on the fort or whatever, Shaw waved his sword, shouted, "Forward, 54th." Boom. Fell dead. The severely wounded Carney planted the flag, and when the order to retreat came, he extracted the precious colors, limped back to his comrades, and proclaimed, "Boys, I did but my duty. The dear old flag never touched the ground." His heroism at Fort Wagner earned him the Congressional Medal of Honor, making him the first African American to merit the nation's highest award of bravery. Yet, of course, due to administrative oversight, he did not receive his medal until May 1900.
Jeez.
Quote,
40 years?
Administrative oversight. To
40
commemorate his
years.
achievement, Carney had his photograph taken by James E. Reed, one of the few African-American photographers at the time to own and operate a photography studio in Massachusetts while proudly wearing his Medal of Honor. You can see that photo.
40 years.
Yeah, 40 years. Isn't that crazy?
Nuts.
So, if you watch this movie, they do a good job. It's good screenwriting. Good job, Kevin. They do a good job of saying that don't let the colors touch the ground. Like, in the flag represents, freedom and honor and everything these men are fighting for, and equality and all this. So they do a good job of reminding the viewers while watching this movie of what that stands for, and what it means to the men. And just like Frederick Douglass said, to have an eagle on their pin and to hold those colors. I mean, people seeing that, everyone seeing that is a symbol of saying, look, not only we're equal, we're going to fight for this too. We're in the fight as well. We're not going to just sit back and, cool, you guys, thanks for doing this for us. No, we're getting in the fight, and they're leading a charge into imposing death. I mean, it's a frontal assault, along the coast in Carolina, right along the beach. In fact, the fort today, it's submerged. All you can see is like a little lighthouse where this actual fight took place. And I think that's sort of a beautiful thing, that even though water and time has covered up where this event took place, nothing can cover up the bravery and the glory that these men achieved. They weren't seeking the glory. They were seeking equality, freedom, family, all these other things. Glory is a byproduct of the bravery of the 54th. So they fucking charged that fort, dude. Sergeant William H. Carney, he picks up those colors when they're dropped, when Shaw gets shot leading the assault. He picks it right up, leads the assault, and I mean, go into there. And they were saying, like, there's sort of misconceptions as to what the exact numbers were and everything leading to the fight, but it was, you know, the Union soldiers were outnumbered about 3-1. Typically they say, like, to a defending soldier, it's like a 1 in 10 advantage. So, I mean, it was a really gnarly, everyone knew they were marching into doom, and to do that is, I mean, it's brave. It's very gnarly. On July 20th, 1863, 2 days after the Union assault on Fort Wagner, Lewis Douglas, son of abolitionist Frederick Douglass, wrote to his fiancée recounting the bravery of his comrades. So he was actually part of the 54th. Lewis Douglass was. We charged that terrible battery on Morris Island known as Fort Wagner. I escaped unhurt from amidst that perfect hail of shot and shell. It was terrible. The regiment has established its reputation as a fighting regiment. Not a man flinched, though it was a trying time. I wish we had 100,000 in black troops. We would put an end to this war. Boom. Badass. Badass, dude. A little bit before we get out of here on the making of the movie, the history itself, you have this writer, Kevin Jarre. He explains in an interview, he's a Bostonian. He lived near the home of Robert Gould Shaw. He, and the 23-year-old Harvard graduate who formed the regiment, that was Robert Gould Shaw. He apparently knew the Shaw family, like, just, you know, generations later, of course. There was a statue put up, a bronze statuing, honoring the soldiers next to the Boston State House. This is sort of like in the financial district. There's a monograph, Lay This Laurel, over a title of an Emily Dickinson poem. Sorry. I think I said like Charlotte Bronte or something. Emily Dickinson. It became one of the sources for glory. So Jarre grew up in this area, knew the story of the 54th, and he's like, it's an amazing story. It's got to be made. He moved into a hotel room, room 421, almost the perfect hotel room number, dude. Should have been 420, bro. In Gramercy Park Hotel in New York, opposite the Players Club. You know, he was probably cruising into there, dude. And he writes the script in 4 weeks on spec. Never thought he could interest anyone in it. A Civil War epic about black people. I mean, this is in 89. You know, there's still racism today. Think about back then. And he knew at the end, he goes, it was torturous to write because I had to kill everybody off in the end. And he said, I ended up in tears writing this. So he knew it was good. He just was, you know, could I get interest? So he calls this an odyssey. The project goes through, the script goes through to get made. It gets attacked within the studio. And, you know, they're saying, you know, a Virginia black historian says, you know, there's a white author writing this and there's outspoken language in it. I mean, they use the N-word because in an effort to be historically accurate, there's racist language in this movie, you know, it's, you know, and it's tough to hear that. And he's like, you know, there's a white guy writing this. In the back of my mind, when I read that, I was like, this guy should meet Tarantino, dude. Freaking Tarantino, it's unbelievable. But, then the professor tries to go into some facts, and then Kevin Jarre, because he was a historian and really did a lot of research on this, he was able to punch holes in this professor's attack on his script. So he really had to fight for it. And he's like, no, the choices I made are made because of this and that. And he's like, these characters didn't exist. He's like, yeah, I need to create these characters, like, you know, Denzel's character and Morgan Freeman's character, but they're based on real events. So it goes back and forth. You know, they had this, it goes to Columbia Pictures. They have a director on board, but then that falls through. Then it gets taken to TriStar, and then you get Edward Zwick, who becomes the director. He did a great job directing this. And then the movie goes into production, and like they said, you know, usually a writer, once it goes into production, no one really has the writer around, but he came in and delivered gave himself some great lines. He also gave himself a tough scene when he's got to be racist to Morgan Freeman. I mean, you hate that. You hate him. You hate the writer. But then at the end, he's like, give him Hell 54 and sees him coming around. It's nice. So, it's freaking badass, dude. I mean, that's a very brief little history of the making of the film. It had to jump a few hurdles. And I mean, a lot of scripts go like that. And, you know, you got Broderick on board. He's a star. Looks like him. You need to get Hollywood stars in the movie. Morgan Freeman's a beast. He's attached to the project, and then Zwick is a great director. What else did Edward Zwick do, Aaron?
Last Samurai.
I mean, bro. Let's just do this. From the Going Deep podcast, 2 Ed Zwick movies are on my greatest war movies of all time. Inglourious is right up there with greatest war movies of all time. It's a heart-wrenching story. It's an important story to remember and to reflect upon the bravery of all of the members of the 54th and those that went into its formation. So, badass, dude. Amazing movie. That's what I love about historical movies. Though they, do have to have inaccuracies and some historical license, it creates that itch for guys like me or people listening to go and do a little research and learn a little bit more. And, we can keep the memories of these brave soldiers alive. And, it lives in paintings. It lives in photographs. Every photograph from that era, by the way, dudes just look like ghosts. If you get like any old time photo, it's like you're a ghost. That's, immediately it's just very terrifying. Old timey photos, like those places where you can go at like Knott's Berry Farm and like put on like Western wear and like be taken. Like, why do I want to take a photo where I look like a ghost? I don't want something haunted in my house, dude. But anyway, it's important for it to be remembered. And today it will be remembered on the podcast medium, which I have to say is the most important medium in the world. Absolutely. So fired up on that, dude. Fired up on this story, dude. Go watch the movie after checking out this ep. Of course I did give you some spoilers, but you got to see how it plays out. Very, very well done. And unbelievable performances. I mean, the cast fucking brings it in this movie, dude. The cast brings it, bro. So definitely go see it. Do yourself a favor. Fired up on that. Other than that, dude, I'm going to freaking bone out, keep this one high and tight. You know what I'm saying, dude? Check out the Patreon. Questions, comments, suggestions, StriderWilsonShreds at gmail.com. Stoked on you guys listening. Aaron, you're a freaking beast, my dog. Appreciate you, and we'll catch you guys on the next one, dude. Freaking lit.